This video covers the WAGO 750-841 Quick Start Guide and begins at page 10 of the Quick Start Guide, section titled Programming Example Step-by-Step Ladder Diagram. In order to complete this example, it's helpful to have the WAGO IOPROS CAA demo software, which is available for free from WAGO's website. If you navigate to www.wago.us, click on Downloads, then Automation, WAGO IO System 750, and at the bottom of the screen you'll see a link to download the WAGO IOPROS CAA software, which is a 90 megabyte download. In this example, we will be programming a basic ladder diagram using CoDeSys version 2.3. As you can see, this is the development environment. The left-hand pane contains POUs, which is a list of all your user-defined programs. You'll always have a PLC_PRG. This is your main program. The second tab on the left-hand pane is the data types. These are user-defined data types that you can create. And Visualizations tab contains visualizations that you might want to create. And the fourth tab are the resources for the PLC, where you can configure your PLC. The window at the top of the screen here is the variable declaration section, and below that is your ladder diagram, or your user-defined program area. Below that is the messaging area. At the bottom of the screen you'll notice there's a status bar. Also have a number of menu options and buttons that you can use to create your program, which we'll be using in this example. Alright, before I begin, I'd like to explain briefly what our ladder diagram will do. As you can see, we have 4 rungs in our ladder, and on the first rung we have an input 1 and an input 2 and an output 1. And when input 1 is true and input 2 is not true, output 1 will go true. On the second rung, when input 1 is true, that will start our on delay timer, and it will count for 2 seconds, and you'll see that counting happen on the ET. When this reaches 2 seconds, Q will go true, which is tied to T1_done. T1_done is used in rung 3. It's tied to our incrementer CU variable. Each time the T1_done goes true, you will see C1_value increment by 1. And when this increments 3 times, which is our set point here, Q will go true, which is tied to C1_done. And we're using C1_done on our fourth rung, which will make output 2 go true. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about the TON and the CTU function blocks, which are built into CoDeSys, you can learn about those if you go to the Help search box. Under Index, if you type in CTU, you can see an explanation of how the CTU works, and also some examples of how it can be used in different languages. And the same holds true for your timer on. Explains how the TON behaves and some examples of how to use it in the different languages. Alright, at this point we're ready to start programming. So go ahead and click File and New. And the program will prompt you for your target setting selection. This is a list of all the WAGO controllers that we offer. We want to select the WAGO 750-841 with firmware 12 or greater. We're going to go with the default configuration here. Go ahead and click OK. At this point it's asking you which you want to name your default program. We're going to leave it the default of PLC_PRG, and we're going to leave it as type program. And these are the languages that are offered: the instruction list, ladder diagram, function block diagram, sequential function chart. structured text, or continuous function chart. Just make sure you select ladder and click OK. At this point, we're ready to configure the I/O cards that we have on our node. Go ahead and to the Resources tab and double-click on PLC Configuration. And if you click the plus sign next to Hardware Configuration, you can expand that into display the K-bus. Right-click on the K-bus and select the append sub-element. The I/O node that we're working with has 4 cards. First card is a digital input 24 volt. It's a 750-402. You can double click it, or you can highlight it and select insert. If you accidentally insert the wrong card or too many of one particular card, you can select the one you don't want and you can remove it from the list. This is the list of modules that we're going to be adding to our project. Go ahead and click the minus sign, collapse the digital input section and expand the digital output section. The second card is a 750-504, and the third card is a 750-467, and the fourth card is a 750-550. Here you can see the 4 cards we've added. Go ahead and click OK. Click the plus sign next to K-bus and it'll expand again the 4 cards we've added, and expand the first 2 cards, which is a digital input and digital output. Here we can actually assign variable names to our inputs. If you double click on the @ where it says @ and you can type in a variable name. We're going to call the first input 1, the second input 2, and we're going to do the same thing with the outputs, output 1 and output 2. Alright, go back to our POU, double click on PLC PRG.